Your capacity to experience grief is equal to your capacity to love and appreciate. And if you find help and support to get through grief, it does increase your capacity to love as you move forward in life. Now, in between that wonderful return of the investment of being present in grief, you have this stage where sometimes people can get stuck. And the way you get stuck in grief is by not knowing how to be with all of that energy. So tapping will process and help you not get stuck. What does being stuck look like? Being stuck looks like you just can't relate to people again. You're grieving for, a decade. There are people who grieve for decades. And at some point, you want to let the grief go and get back to living and appreciating the love you had before the loss.
So, when you talk about self-care, when I think about it in a way, even an average person who is not going through a journey as breast cancer, when you think about self-care, it is something that is not really in your forefront of your mind and want to do. And so what type of encouragement would you give someone to say, even if this is the only thing you do while you're going through this journey, even if it's for 5 minutes, it will help to kind of move the vibration or the frequency with you? What is that one thing you would say to them that's important for them to do?
Yeah. The one thing that I would say is when you look in the mirror, you have to say to yourself, I love you, and say your name. Because you may not get that from anybody else throughout the day.
Everything is energy. And if everything is energy, then we are affected by energy. We are energy. We move in energy, all of it. So what we're saying here is when you understand the energy that is moving at this point, then you'll understand where you are. When you start feeling more introspective in this year, you'll understand why. Right? So when we talk about spiritual awakening and shifts and looking inward, expect to find yourself feeling more reflective, right? You can fight it if you want to. We always have free will and free choice. So you can fight it if you want to. Or like Marsha was saying, you can choose to go with flow and get still and notice what this time, this energy is revealing to you, because it is meant to reveal so that you can evolve and grow.
Let's go into specifically now the therapeutic music for the breast cancer survivors, or if you're currently still going through that journey. Is there a difference? Do you use a specific music for those who have gone through and are in the space of, now what? Who am I? How do I reconnect with my heart and soul in such a beautiful way, versus those who are laying on the bed, whether it's in hospice or whether it's just in the hospital, whether it's just at home? Is there a difference as to how you approach, or do you also allow spirit to lead? Sorry, it's a long question. Break it into.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a beautiful question though, because the outcome is, whichever one we're dealing with, the outcome is we want to be healed. We want to be made whole. And so I take in the information based on the person's condition and what they're dealing with and what they see for themselves. And then we take that information and then we work forward to be able to make sure that they can get to that point. So I would outline, so music could be, what I always say, 3. You want a morning playlist, you want something for the afternoon, and you want something for evening. Morning is renewing yourself, something that makes you feel, I have a playlist that I use, and there's one song that comes to me that's Order My Steps. And I want to know that from the time I wake up in the morning, order my steps, because I have no idea what's in front of me. So it's whatever I'm guided to. In the afternoon, we want to take that noon time to reset, because we've made it through the morning and now it's time to reset so we could make it through the rest of the day. And then in the evening, we want to do something that's relaxing. And what's important about relaxation is sleep is so important when you're healing, because our bodies heal when we are sleeping. Yeah. And so when we can find something, if your bedtime is, let's say 10 p.m. and maybe at 8 o'clock, you can start playing something that sort of like gets you into that relaxed state.
Yeah.
And it prepares you to start getting for rest. So your body is acclimating to, okay, I know it's time for me to start shutting down. And as I begin to shut down, I know I can enjoy a nice cup of tea, aromatherapy, a nice, relaxing bath. Those things are important because it just also adds to being able to get a good night's sleep, peaceful rest, because that's a part of the healing. And it allows you again to wake up the next day refreshed, renewed, because you've taken the time to really give yourself that care the night before. But to get back to your original question, I would say that each person is different.
Grief is like a beginning teaching of learning that we're so much more than just form. We are so much more than just this physical existence on this plane. And so we evolve to the love is never diminished, even if we miss them physically, right?
Yes.
I buried 3 family members this year, a mom, a father-in-law, and a nephew. And, and then last Christmas, my 26-year-old son, well, he was 25 then, he almost died. And I was able to stay very conscious, and at which, I needed to keep up with a lot of things while we were going through this, not knowing. And I was actually able to do that and stay connected through gratitude. Now, this is from a lifetime practice, right? So what that looked like, he had surgery on Christmas Eve even. It looked like, and it was fun seeing my son do this too. We thanked every nurse, even the ones we didn't resonate with. I was grateful for the technology. It had a monitor. I could see that his heart was still doing fine no matter what was going on. I was grateful for that. I was grateful for the hospital being close to my house. I was grateful for the texts and support, the prayers that came in, all the love. I was able to focus on that. And so what did that do for me? I mean, he really came close to dying a couple times. And it was like, okay, how am I going to show up in this? And I knew that no matter how awful grief feels, I would find my way through it. And I would always have enjoyed having him more than I would be in the pain of losing him. And that was a profound experience to live.
And it was an aha moment for me because I feel that God took me out of my familiar place and placed me with absolute strangers so he could show me that you're not that because you're at that church. You are that because that's how I made you. You are that because the gifts that I placed in you don't only serve that place. It's supposed to be for everywhere. And my life opened up. My life if I were to mark a spot, that would be it.
One of the things that I was told by many Pink sisters who came across my path was fear, and how much fear played such a huge role in whether or not you heal or not. Because oftentimes when we're going through this, the first thing you become afraid. Am I going to live? Am I going to survive it? What's going to happen? What's the purpose? And, having to even step back and remove yourself from fear is fearful in itself because you don't really know how to. So having this type of sound and music, I know that would help to calm you so the fear does not get any more power. Trust me, I've seen it. I've seen how it paralyzes our soul while going through a breast cancer journey. And it is something that, listen, if I could say something that makes me mad, it's that's what makes me mad for my sisters as they go through this. Because if I could take an eraser and just go like this, I would just erase that from their space, from their mental thought. Because I do know that even though it's a difficult journey, sometimes God takes us through something in order for us to rise up so that we can then recognize our purpose and our path so we can do what we're called to do, So that fear is something I would so love to erase. My sisters, really and truly.
I can relate to it. You speak so passionately about it, and what happens with fear, when we are walking in fear, it truly lowers our vibrations.
Yeah.
And we can't get anywhere until we raise our vibrations.
Some of the answers I would get were questions I never said audibly, but they were in here. So the shift is very subtle.
Yeah.
So notice that. And yes, you're getting a little, I was over there wondering if I was going crazy when some of the change was happening. Right?
Yeah.
We all know this because we kind of went through our moment. We were like, am I crazy?
Yeah.
How am I, you know what I mean? When the change started coming in, you're not crazy. You are experiencing the energy of the 7 year. You're experiencing the awakening and the shifts in your beliefs. They will come. Allow is all I'm saying. Allow it.